Ladies and gentlemen, the elixir of property capital growth. This morning, we're going to rank up other countries in the world to show you how Australian property goes. And let's face it, that's the whole reason why we buy property, capital growth. Stay tuned.
Good morning.
Oh, Mr. Drury, how are you?
Yeah, really good. I've been sleeping really well lately. I think it's all the morning minutes.
It's all the hard work.
Maybe.
Beautiful day today, guys and girls. But this is a big one. This is, agents are always flogging this. They're always saying, look, I know it's shelter. You put your family in there. It's great. But the big kick out of property is the capital growth. And I often think, how are we faring compared to the rest of the world? How are we ranking up with Australian property? We're always told that we're expensive, but, is it worth it compared to other areas? Could we be buying somewhere else in the world where it's a better investment? Property's a better investment. So we brought some cool facts up today. Billy, can I tell you a story? When I was in Alaska.
Yeah.
I told you this one.
Yeah, but you never say that to like an old person. You never tell your grandpa, you've already told me the story, for example, or the old lady. But it's a good story. Go away. I love it.
You just tell it. So Lisa and I are in a bus in a tour bus in Alaska, and this lady goes, and she goes, yeah, property. One lady in the back puts her hand up. She goes, how does property go out here? And the girl on the microphone in the front of the bus goes, whoa, I've got to tell you, it's been pretty good. And everyone on the bus goes, oh, wow. She says, yeah. She says, I bought my house for $87,000 7 years ago. And the one just next door to me, which is almost the same, just sold. And everyone's like, oh, wow, you bought for $87,000. What did the one next door sell for? She says, $98,000. And everyone goes, wow, that's for 7 years, that's sort of pretty good. And it got me thinking, and it's a great topic for today because, worldwide, how are we going with our property growth? Does it double? Does it halve in some countries? Does it double? Does it triple over a 10, 20, 30-year period? And we've got the data for you.
Yeah, and the other thing, we're about to pull up this data, but before we get into it, I love how, as a young person, you always say, the property, everyone made money in property from the 80s and the 90s, and now it's over, it's done. There's no more big money in real estate. And we've kind of, we've got the facts to support this argument now. So let's hit that share screen.
Absolutely.
I'm going to pull it up now for you. So this is house prices around the world, 2010 to 2022, quarter two. So pretty much a year ago. Now I'm going to, obviously you've got a pretty good overall view there, but I'm going to just see if I can get it down to certain countries first. Okay, can you see that well, Mark? Because I can't see our screen now.
Yeah, super clear.
Okay, cool. So starting up, I guess you were up in around this region up here, Canada, US, Mexico. About 80% of the world's economies have experienced real estate price growth since 2010. That's almost everyone has experienced some form of growth.
So that's good news. It goes up.
That's good news. Yeah, it does go up. So I'm going to move across the world now, but you can see starting with Canada as a benchmark, 90%. As you move across, Iceland takes trumps, 103%. Italy,
wow, look how Turkey's going.
Yeah, Spain. Even the places you like to holiday, some of them have not done the numbers you'd hope.
Yeah.
And then we've got Australia down here, which I'm going to pull up for you in just a sec, but there we go.
So basically, the heavy purple are pretty good capital growth sort of countries.
Yep.
There's some negative growth there in Russia for obvious reasons.
Yep. Yeah, there was a couple of European countries, a couple of in the Middle East. South Africa's down. New Zealand's kicking.
So New Zealand's the big winner. So politically instability politically does
Yep.
not help with capital growth. I think you can see from from scanning across the world there, the last 12 years of property prices, if you just tuned in on capital growth, you can see that you got to be, if you're politically stable, you generally do pretty good. Luke says, always look, bye, love growth, international immigration is key. New Zealand at 97%, absolutely. Now, what's interesting is, I think what we're also going to be seeing now is, due to what's happened with COVID, people have finally, the shackles are off. So, if you were looking to do a domestic sea change or tree change, you've probably done it around Australia. That's a domestic one. If you were going to do an international tree change, because you was punished in COVID, these moves, moving your family, yourself, your belongings, your home, everything you own, is just starting to unfold the last 12 months. You know, when China opened its borders finally, that was probably the final piece.
Yeah.
So much of a rush in some countries that they've actually doubled or tripled property taxes. For instance, Singapore you pay about 60% in Singapore to buy something in Singapore if you're a foreigner. So there was a lot of Chinese trying to get into Singapore. That's now been held back. So we're starting to see that here in this graph.
That's it. And do you want me to go around the world again before we leave and bring it back to DY?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, departing Australia into the South America. So Chile. Look at Chile. They're on fire. Literally. Brazil. Yeah, I'm mainly in this region up here, Europe. That's what interests me is, always had the idea of maybe buying a holiday home in some of the countries you love, but the growth just is not there.
And I think on the back, guys and girls, when we're looking at capital growth worldwide, and I have mentioned political instability or stability, probably one of the other ones there, education. Is super, accreditation worldwide for being educated in those countries, so people will move around for that reason. Medical, hospitals, and that you're safe, and that disease. Probably another one would be property taxes. It's probably the number one way for a government to keep foreigners away would be by putting a foreigner tax in. So all these things come into consideration with buying around the world, and also growth.
That's it. All right, I'm going to bring it back home. I'm bringing it back to DY because we've got a couple of examples.
Before we go, can we bring up the top 10 countries' highest capital growth?
Yeah.
You got that little? I think that's the second one I sent over to you.
Yeah.
I find it really interesting. Now, and also before we go, guys and girls, 27% is the blended rate for capital growth worldwide. You got that? So if you guys are trying to work out what average property goes up over a 12-year period, that's 27%. I'll give you a working example. If you buy a property on average in the world for $1 million, 12 years later, it'll be worth 270 more, 1.27. That's the average capital growth blended worldwide,
So I
according
think
to
that
visualcapitalist.com.
I think that yes, thank you for your hard work. I think that's quite positive. Do you not think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Considering everything that happens around the world, I think that's pretty good. All right, but here's our top 10. At the top of the charts, Iceland, 103%. That's
What
pretty
the?
incredible.
Yep.
Estonia, New Zealand, balanced on 97. Chile at 95. Turkey at 91. Canada at 90. Luxembourg at 85. Hungary, there you go. I would not put that in my
Wow.
top 10. Yeah, 84%. Hong Kong, 83%. Israel, 80%. Really interesting.
Amazing.
I'm surprised DY is not on there, at number 11.
Yeah, I'm shocked. But I think also some of these places are also havens. So if you're if you're worried about your family or your money, some of these countries you can see are actually a bit like havens to get to, and you've got that stability and protection
Yeah.
in those countries. So yeah, interesting.
All right. Now I've got bringing it home to DY. So this is a particular building that we're looking at today called the Meriton Complex DY. It's if you're local, it's the one that's above Woolworths in particular we're looking at. But these are some recent sales. Sold off the plan from 2017, 2018 to 2019 finished. And then the recent sales that were done in sort of 2022 and 2023, we were having a look at some of the capital growth. As an example, this is a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1-car.
I like DY because DY's got more units in it than the Sydney CBD. So it's an excellent metric to use. It's not like, oh, there's 5 sales a year in that suburb. We do more like 60 to 70 sales a year a month, 600 to 700 sales a year in that suburb. So it's a very, very good metric for Sydney. And then we like Meriton because Meriton was basically a brand new building that sold at market about 5 years ago. So the whole 350 units sold 4 or 5 years ago. So we had a fixed start time, and then now we've moved across to some sales that we're going to show you today. And this is going back, I want you guys to compare this to the international prices.
Yeah. So
international
sold
growth.
off the plan for a mil, 1.28. Sold unconditionally on the 3rd of March this year for 1.5. It's 17.1%.
Can we zoom up a bit, Billy Bob?
I can't zoom up in this format.
Okay, no worries. Next.
Sorry. Next one.
So pretty good. So you buy something for $1 million as an example, you're going to make 170 grand. That is only in 4 years' time. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think so as well. This one here on the 12th floor, a 2-bed, 2-bath, 1-car, 100 square meters on title. It was bought for just over $1 million, $1.15. It's sold in the interim, but recently traded on the 12th of August 2022 for 1.35. That is 33% growth.
That's solid.
Solid. Another 2-bed, 2-bath, 1-car. This one had a big terrace. Sold off the plan at 1.22. Just traded on the 10th of September last year for 1.575. 29% growth.
Solid.
Another one sold off the plan for $1.98. Sold on the 10th of June 22 for 1.42. 29.2% growth. Incredible. And that's the end of it. We've just sold one though on the weekend, and that's why we wanted to talk about this. 633 at 17, Howard. This has absolutely shattered the block's capital growth record. Talk us through it, Mark.
Pretty big. So, how much did they buy for? They bought for 1.13,
Yeah.
and then on the weekend we sold it for 1.6, say 1.6, just short of 1.61.
Yeah.
It represented 42% growth. I do have to note, if you've watched the first half of this segment today, we were talking about over 12 years. We've just reverted to talking about over 4 years when we talked about DY. So it's a pretty Sydney is a pretty impressive place to buy.
Yeah, it is, and I think that's not a success story of one particular big auction, but it's a success story for the whole building and DY really. It's quite incredible.
I think
Performing
it
on the
is,
world
and
stage.
I think so. World stage, well said, and you can even push that across to almost all parts of Sydney doing that, having that same capital growth. So, in summary, guys and girls, worldwide, property will do about 27% over a 12-year period. That's the blended rate. But and that's as per, if you jump onto visualcapitalist.com, there's a beautiful article written in there. I'll share that. We'll share that in the comments today as well, so you got it. And Australia,
Yeah.
it's pretty much doubling. So it's sitting at about 100%. Now, is it going to continue to do that? That's the big question. It's done it for the last 100 years.
Well, that is the golden question. But there's the photo link for you guys. I'm going to post that in there for you. Have a quick look. Yeah, is it going to do it for I really hope so. I really hope it does.
Pretty cool. And look, and I think fundamentally, politically, health, education, lucky country. I think it will. I think the future is really, really bright for Sydney, Australia, particularly with people coming around worldwide to join us.
That's it. Good show this morning.
There's all those in there. Thanks for popping those in. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks, Mark.
See you, mate. Bye, mate.